Hey there. We have to discuss something real quick. I know I said I was going to do Manson. I even posted a screenshot of the Antichrist Superstar album cover on Instagram and then tried to get people to come over. And then I made like 4 different videos trying to discuss it, and it just didn't work. And just, give that album a listen if you're into that sort of thing. It's really his best thing that he ever did. I'm going to discuss Norwegian black metal. Man, I've listened to 2 different podcasts that had 3-part things on Norwegian black metal, and they're really good. But, they don't really discuss the music that much. All they want to talk about is, Mayhem and Dead and Euronymous and Varg and what a big giant dork he is. And, that's all true. And it's really interesting. If you don't know anything about Norwegian black metal, I recommend, last podcast on the left did a hilarious 3-part thing on Norwegian black metal. And there's a thing in there about, one of them found a thing online. It's like a kind of a fan fiction thing about how it came to be that Varg and Euronymous ended up feuding, and it's hilarious. And then they recommended another podcast called Death Metal Dicks, and it's these 2 guys from Arkansas that have a much smaller podcast, and they also did a 3-parter, and it was a little more informative, I think, and a little less funny, but still pretty funny. And because, the whole thing, you have to have some sense of humor about it. What gets lost in all that is how good some of the music is. When you talk about the church burnings and the killings and the murders and the suicides and all this stuff, you don't get to talk about Darkthrone, because they didn't do any of that. I haven't really listened to Soulside Journey at all, but I've listened to a little bit of Blaze in Northern Sky. I've listened to a little bit of Under a Funeral Moon. I don't really like the production on that. You can barely hear the guitars, and they're a really guitar-driven band. I love Transylvanian Hunger to the point where I learned how to play that song, and I learned how to play it, and then my index finger on my left hand is numb still, the tip, but just the tip. But also, Mayhem's music is pretty freaking good, and Dead is an interesting guy. You should look up some of the stuff about that. From what I understand, do not read the Lords of Chaos book. I guess they're making a movie out of that too, but it's from what I understand, everybody has said that book is just garbage, and it's not based on any kind of real fact. There's a lot of exaggerations to, sell books. You say what you want about Varg. I think those first 3 albums or whatever are really interesting musically. I don't agree with a lot of stuff Varg says, and I don't recommend it. Well, if you want to go watch his YouTube channel, you go right ahead. I'm not stopping you, but I don't recommend it. That guy's kind of, I don't know. But the Mayhem stuff, especially post-Dead, post-Euronymous even, after Varg killed him, it's good. I'm especially fond of the album Chimaira that Mayhem did. It just doesn't let up. And I'm not really a big fan of Attilla as a vocalist, but he did really good on that album. And then the album that they did right after that, they were, I think, I forget the name of it, it's some weird Latin sounding name. The album they did where Varg played bass because Necro Butcher quit after Dead killed himself, because basically Euronymous talked me to it. I listened to a podcast where they played a good chunk of that. The drummer Hellhammer produced that thing, and so the drums are front and center, and it's solid. It's a pretty solid freaking album. I originally was going to talk about all the murders and all that stuff, but man, it's just been so overdone that I'd rather talk about the music because it's good. If you're into black metal, you know, or if you like metal and you don't really know black metal, and I really recommend some of this stuff. And it's weird to listen to, like, I mean, like I said, I haven't really listened to Soulside Journey, but I've heard like snippets here and there. Like, the production is very, very Swedish death metal. It's very thick, but not muddy. And then you get Blaze in the Northern Sky, which is like no bass. It's like all high end, all mids, no bass. It's like the complete opposite sonically of what Soulside Journey is and what Swedish death metal is. And, you know, it doesn't sound like Entombed at all. It sounds like freaking Darkthrone. And Darkthrone's great, man. And the great thing about Darkthrone and bands like Immortal as well, which, you know, doesn't get discussed in all that talk about, they don't talk about Immortal, they don't talk about Darkthrone because those guys weren't involved in anything. And like, those bands are still around, and the thing that I like about them is that they are freaking hilarious. I wish that there was an interview with Abath and Fenriz, because I don't think anybody would laugh quite hard enough, because those two guys are hilarious. Anyways, I will provide links for as much as I can remember, because there's a lot of good stuff. So if I missed any bands, like if you're familiar with black metal and you think I've missed a band that's important, let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, please. Pretty please. Sugar on top? Not really. Alright, I think that's it. Next time. Bye.